Okay, so now that I've got my brushes cleaned, I'm gonna go ahead and work on the foreground element here. So I've got a clean dry brush here, don't wanna use any water. And so I'm gonna use some burnt sienna here, and I'm gonna use some yellow. But you could make your own brown like we did before if you wanted to by mixing complements. You could just mix up like a red, a little bit of blue and yellow to create a green, and that would help. But again, it goes faster if I've got the brown, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start laying this in. You can see it's a little thin. It's a cheaper paint, honestly. So, we do what we can in public school to cut costs, and this is one of those ways. So I may have to go with a couple of coats on here, but I'm gonna start first by blocking in. And this is called blocking in. I guess I didn't really talk about that, but artists use that term to talk about like filling a space with a color. And then while that paint's still wet, I'm gonna go ahead and work in that other color like I had done before in the darker areas. I'm trying to avoid the shadows a little bit, but I'll go back in and darken those later. I feel like I need a little bit of lighter brown up in there. So I'm gonna put a little yellow in what I feel like the lighter area should be over here. Looks like I got a little touch of blue in there. Probably won't matter, I can cover it up. But so I'm just kind of creating a little light on the corner of this table. I know it's upside down, probably difficult to see, but when I reference my image, it's lighter over here, it's darker over here. And so I'm gonna use, instead of white, I'm gonna use that yellow because it's a brighter color and it blends better. Well, it's a color, not a value. And it's gonna blend better with the brown rather than making some kind of like a strange tint of brown, which kind of gets muddy after a while. And so I feel like that looks pretty good. Again, I worked pretty fast to make sure that I could blend that well. I'm gonna flip it around so you can see it better. I'd like this a lot darker. So what I'm gonna do is continue to add more brown to that as the rest of it's drying. And I'm just leaving the yellow in my brush now, just because I'm not too awfully worried about how that's gonna muddy up this side. I know that there's a good deal of yellow in this brown. In order to make brown, you've got to have something of all the primaries in it. And so, again, it's important to know how those things work together. I think I'm going to add just a touch of blue on this side, not much at all. I just want to deepen this side. And so you saw that I just barely put my brush in the corner of that blue. And then while that brown is wet, I'm just working it in to darken it. I don't want a lot in there, just a little. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry now, and then we're gonna start blocking these little guys in.